Yesterday we were talking about framing the famous, and these are people who epitomize everything about Jesus that is legitimate and authentic. These are the people that live out a lifestyle that imitates Christ. And Paul was the one who said, as we said yesterday, imitate me as I imitate him. In Paul's last breath in his life, when he finds himself in a Roman prison, he says at the end of the day, there are really three things that count. He says, first of all, you've got to fight the good fight, you've got to keep the faith, and you've got to run the race. Each one of those has got so many implications and applications for our lives. But I just like the one, first of all, about fighting the good fight. That means there's a bad fight. We've said that before. That we're tempted often to fight the wrong fight. We think we're fighting the right fight because maybe we're fighting because we think we know what's right, and we fall into that particular trap. And Paul's warning us to say, don't fall for the wrong fight. Fight the right fight. It doesn't say he's fought a good fight. He says, I have fought the fight. That means there is a fight that we have to fight. Now, servants have to fight a number of fights on different fronts. The first issue of a fight that a servant has to have is the fight with his ego. You know, his ego that self just wants to rise up all the time. And I don't know what to do with it, and I don't want to do with my ego, and I don't want to do with my desire to continually be right, and it hurts me, and it hurts people, it hurts my family, and I don't want to do that, but something inside of me just rises up and say, fight for yourself, man, fight for yourself. And every time I do that, I end up making a blunder. I'm fighting the wrong fight. It seems to be the right fight, but it's certainly not. And over the course of a very short period of time, you see what I'm talking about. Fight the good fight. Well, let's talk about the good fight. Jesus fought a few good fights. He went a few rounds with the arrogance of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Jesus went a few rounds on behalf of the poor and marginalized. And Jesus went a lot of fights, and he won a lot of rounds on behalf of those who were marginalized and those who were rejected of people. And Jesus fought for them, cat and dog. He fought strongly on behalf of those people. Never fought for himself. Here's God, as we said the other day, standing before Pilate, and he says, I could call 10,000 angels. He would just wipe you boys out, and I could just go back to heaven. He fought the right fight. Sometimes we need to say who or what is the right fight. Well, I don't know. I'd like to fight against injustice. I don't know if I'll win completely because it's such a big thing, but I'm going to do my best to do what I have to do to fight against the injustice of the marginalized and the abuse of power. And I'll stand against anything for that. But I want to fight the right fight. So our churches are full of people fighting a fight. They need to sit down and say, is this the right fight? Is this a good fight? Is this going to be a fight that will stand up in eternity? And if they could press the replay button, they're going to say, check this fight. This is a great fight, and people love to watch a good fight and see the victor come out of this thing having fought a good fight. And I think at the end of the day, we'll look back and say, man, I fought a whole lot of wrong ones. And I lost most of them as well. So let's make sure we fight the right fight. The right fight for truth, the right fight on behalf of those who cannot fight for themselves. People, that's a good fight to fight. Fight it at work, fight it at school, fight it in your homes, fight it in your community, fight it in the church, fight it wherever you are, and watch what God will do through you. Never underestimate the power of somebody fighting the good fight. I point you to David and Goliath. There's not a person in the world doesn't know that story. How this young man stood up against a giant who looked ominous, a giant who looked threatening, a giant who looked undefeatable. And David, that little guy, took that guy out. He fought a good fight. He fought the right fight. See, Goliath stands for anything that is unjust. Goliath stands for anything that is a bullying tactic. Goliath represents the abuse of power. He was a bully. And David said, I'm not going to stand for that. I'm going to fight this fight. I don't care where it ends, but I'm going to fight the good fight. I hope we can find a fight to fight. People, it sounds like, in today's world, we all want to be a bunch of pacifists, say. We want to take out of the hymn book, "Onward, Christian soldiers, marching as to war." We don't want to sing that song because it's far too militant. We don't want to stand up and sing, stand up for Jesus, ye soldiers of the cross." That's far too militant. That could offend a few people. We don't want to do that, do we? And yet those are the songs that drive the Christian faith forward. When that verse that says, "and the gates of hell will not prevail against it," means that we're fighting. And I used to take that verse so passively and suddenly I realized that we as Christians are on the offensive. The gates of hell shall not stand against us, the church. And when we stand together and we stand strong and we fight the right fight, people, we just doesn't matter if we win, we're just going to fight it anyway and trust God for the result. This is what gives the Christian faith such a great place to be and a meaningful purpose for which we want to live. I hope you find it, man. So if you're sitting in the pacifistic chair right now, get out of that darn thing. Fight a good fight. Fight the right fight for a cause worth fighting for. Man, I hope you find that. If you've got it, you keep fighting. Well done. We'll see you soon. Bye.